Everybody, Calcin here. Gonna do a video on my latest obsession, which is Vintage Story. It's an indie open world block type game like Minecraft, survival based. It's got more of a bite than Minecraft. It's highly moddable. There's a lot of mods out there. Really enjoy it. It's much more detail on the survival, and the world is seems to be more alive. So, just gonna do a talk through of a walkthrough of a playthrough that I did here. And we're starting out. This is in an abandoned fort that I found here. Um, and as you can see, that centerpiece there, a couple things to know is there were two hollow tree logs stacked on top of each other. I found those are really good uh, storage items or storage containers you can find out in the wild, so keep an eye out for that. They got high capacity. You could also see that there were animals on the heads on the walls. I learned that if you once you finish curing rawhides, they turn into you can mount them if you put them through your workshop. Now, part of that might be from some mods, which I'll list at the bottom of this video, but yeah, you can mount them up there. You can see the same thing in the screenshot here, the moose on the side there. Um, there's a couple different things sometimes when you put it on the ground, it'll look like the animal as well. Now, if you look on this, in my inventory on the second line all the way to the right there, that is a banded head or a human. Oh, I'm showing the corgi here. So there's the severed head of the human, um, and that is from the Outlaws mod, which is really cool. And so you have these outlaws that run around and attack you, and when you attack them and kill them, and when you harvest them, you can get their head, and then you can put it on a spike and lay that put that out in your area, so that that will apparently reduce the chances of outlaws coming into your area. Now, earlier you also saw that corgi. That was a tip that I wanted to give, that if you buy a pet from a vendor and you are a distance from your fort or holdout or wherever you're staying at, or wherever it is you want to start taming that pet, um, when you buy it, it is an item in your inventory. Do not put it on the ground until you got it where you want it, because it will be very difficult to train them, obviously, where you don't want them, or you have to stay there or whatnot. So I made that mistake. Don't do that. So now we're wandering around. This is kind of the kitchen area I made. There was a tip there. Um, I thought this was kind of cool. I kept walking into my campfires because I'm stupid. So I used two inverted steps to put it over the top, and that way I can access it and get my stuff and not get burnt. Now there's my lovely double um, hollow logs. I'm always on the hunt to find those. Some treasure chests I found in some ruins. Again, I have like 60 or so mods, so I'm not sure what is mods, what isn't. There's my tool racks over there, a bunch of copper items and scrap items that I found in ruins. If you see ruins, definitely pursue them. Explore, break, break blocks, um, and to see what's under the surface, because I've found pickaxes and axes and knowledge books and all sorts of stuff. Now you'll see here in some of my inventory, like that item right there, that is from Rustbound Magic. It's another mod that I've added. Haven't dove really in far into that. I plan on doing a video on that itself when I start exploring it. Right now I'm having fun, as you can see right there to the lower right. When it was there, my sailing ship, or rather it's my raft, as I have yet to get the materials to build the sail, but that is another mod, Sailing Delight. I forget something to that name, and I will list that also in the comments or the section for this video. I am rifling through my inventory because this game has a terrible, terrible inventory system, just like real life. You can't find anything, it's all over the place. So I need to organize all this eventually at some point, and I am also looking to see what kind of storage systems are out there and the mods that I have and what kind of storage mods are out there. So if anybody has any suggestions, drop them in the comments below, please. So just moving through a bit of my inventory, collecting stone. Again, I'm in an old fort. The walls were all broken down, so I'm tearing down and rebuilding. Currently, I have a central tower that has 3 stories, and then my back down that hall again is my kitchen area. This is my crafting area. Here we go down the kitchen. Now see that straw area, that block down there, that was a tip that I picked up. When you want to store food, you want to store it in a 7x7 or smaller area that is either stone or dirt, or hay. And when you have it sealed like that, you have food in there in containers and whatnot, it will last longer. And there's kind of a hierarchy of food storage. That container on the screen, upper top left side, right next to the blade that I just took. Right now I'm making a stone knife. That is a pot of food, or a crock of food. You make crocks of food with clay and you form the crocks, and then you fire them in a ground pit, and then you can put food in them. And then if you get fat, you can seal it and it will last longer. And then if you put that sealed crock in a cellar, or that 7x7 pit, sealed, it will last even longer, up to a year or so. I personally put them in storage vessels in cellars. Right here I am using a bowl to get food out of the crock. That's how you extract the food, and then I can eat the food directly out of the bowl. There I go. And that has raised my saturation. And I'm getting ready for a day of, what are we doing here? Oh yes, I think we are going to go get cattails. Yes, here we go in my cattail garden. Here's a post start beginner tip. Once you get established somewhere, and if you have or build, but if you can find a nice shallow body of water, 1 block deep is the best, in my opinion. Just go around everywhere else and harvest as many cattail, both the tops and the bottoms. Use the tops for baskets or whatever you need, and then plant your roots in your cattail garden, and then you have I don't want to say infinite, ultimately it would be, but a resupply, constant resupply of cattails, which are highly valuable. You will need cattails, reed baskets. That is your main storage for a very long time, until you can get copper. And I just recently lucked out and found a pickaxe, which I think I have in another video later. So runes are, again, crucial to get that leg up. So right now notice that I am only cutting the top of the cattail and not the bottom, so that I don't actually destroy the cattail, and it will regrow in time. So gathering lots and lots of cattails. There's an area there where it's 2 blocks deep, and I am avoiding that. Later I do fill that in and expand on my cattail garden. Now I have the sound of the gameplay off in this video at the moment because I had a technical snafu where I was picking up too much background noise. But one tip I would give everybody is to bring your music down to very low level. If you want to hear it, that's great, but have your animal sounds all the way up, and then the rest of them somewhere in between, so that you want to make sure that you can hear when something comes up and attacks you. I use the fantasy creatures mod in this. Again, I'll have a link to the bottom, and that's important to be able to hear, because the goblins, you hear them gobbling, or not gobbling, giggling and laughing, and they will mob you. Also, pigs, both the pig sounds both from the actual wild boars, and if you are running the fantasy creatures mod, the orcs, because the orcs sound like the pigs. So this is the back side of my fort that I'm working on rebuilding, and yeah. I have already, because I had that glass. Now that I see, um, I I already have my pickaxe. Now here's a tip for you: when you're going through the world, cut down as many of the berry bushes as you can with a knife, and take them back to your fort and plant them, and you will start having a growing supply of food without having to do gardening. Gardening, I've gotten into it a whole lot. I got some really good dirt from a rift storm, because I also have, as I said, using the Rustbound mod, and one of the effects of the Rustbound mod is it makes the rifts change when they appear. They change the dirt and change this area around it, and which is kind of cool. So added really nice flavor to the game. Here you can see I'm actually cutting down completely the cattails, because I'm collecting them. I don't really want to have cattails growing around this main circle area, because as you can see on the map, it's kind of my open area and my fort sits right on it, and I don't want things hiding in the weeds. So I'm going to remove all the cattails from here and put them back in my garden. And I'm moving a little bit out, wandering around, looking about, keeping an eye out, making sure nothing's going to jump me. Sadly, I don't have the video of it, but previous to this little excursion, I had been out by that, on the other side of that giant hill there, and I was going to root out two orcs that were traversing in my territory, and as I approached them, I saw a very large red reptilian head pop up over the trees, and I went eek and ran away from the red dragon. Again, Fantasy Monsters or Fantasy Creatures mod is an awesome mod. Highly advise that. Now, this was a peculiar discovery. I'm not sure where this is from, if it's the base game or the mod, but this was a southern dog carcass. Normally, you can break the bones and get bones from it, but usually there are not flies. And yes, you could hear the flies, which is what drew my attention. They sound different than the bees, but I could not interact with this at all, so I'm not really sure what it was from, but I moved on. So, moving on again to the cattail tail. And gathering. There's a lot of gathering in this game. I will say, I grew up very rural, and as a child, we were poor, and gathering food actually was a bit of a chore at times, as well as cutting firewood and gathering water. And this game, I would say, if you want to get even a glimpse of the amount of effort it takes to actually stay alive in a primitive environment, this gives you an idea, because I will warn anyone, if you do not like tedium like this right here, chipping, napping, this very similar mechanic when you're doing the clay. It actually takes time to build these things in game, so you may not like that. I will warn you, however, if you're like me, that you like the very fine detail, and step after step and processes. Yes, see here, I'm tuning my music up a little bit, but you can see how I have entity sound way, way up, and sound effects mid-level, and the rest of them underneath that. That way I can hear what's going on around me. So, chopping, breaking to harvest. My knife is about to break here. As you can see down in my toolbar, I am turning red. Now what I'm doing here is I'm a bit of a river man. You will see later my character. I have again another mods that add skills, I believe they're called, and one of them that I picked up was I can hold my breath for a long time. And I have found, now here is a definite tip. Starting out, get a raft as soon as possible if you are in an area that has large bodies of water, because it is immensely easier to survive on the water in a raft in all conditions than it is being stuck on the land, especially during um, the storms, the time warp storms or whatever they are. Um, that and a tip there is when the temporal storms hit, if you don't want to sleep through it, but you don't really want to fight your way through it constantly, get on a raft, get out in a area of water that's wide and 3, 4 blocks deep, um, and that will then enable you to quickly get away from the dust drifters, because as they drop, they fall in the water and they immediately sink, and you can just keep going on down the road in your raft, doing your own merry ride, or stop and fight if you want. So, anyhow, closing out this video, that's it for this one. I will pick up again later. Thanks for watching.